And we're back.
Okay.
So, Cecily and I are talking. Actually, we're arguing about.
Yes.
We're arguing about.
We're having a debate.
We're having a spirited debate. Spirited debate. So, in my opinion, we were talking about the tax code and simplicity, and to me, going from 7 tax brackets, okay, to 3. I see that in some cases it's going to help people that are in the higher tax brackets because their tax bracket is going to come down a little bit. And then my concern, though, is for people that are in the lower tax bracket, won't some of them get pulled up a little bit?
I don't see that happening because contracting the number of brackets isn't where the complexity in the tax code is. The far majority of people are in the bottom 3 anyway. That doesn't change with the brackets that they're talking about. They're talking about reducing the top 3-ish.
Okay.
And those, again, are just people who make over $200,000 a year. If they really want to try to do something to impact the American population as a whole, then addressing payroll taxes would be more impactful than income taxes.
Okay.
Then people who work and get W-2s, so working class, middle class, etc., they're paying payroll taxes on 100% of what they make. That is not ever really factored into the discussion of tax reform. That's not really factored into how do we make sure Social Security stays safe. Instead of discussing should we raise the payroll tax base, the discussion always seems to be from this administration, we need to just keep raising the age for people to get it.
Well, one of the things, so I'm a little confused about AMT. You mentioned AMT wasn't mentioned, but a lot of people, and I've got clients now, and the higher your income goes, it seems like more people have been paying AMT than possibly in the last 10 to 20 years. Is that not the case? I mean, aren't they talking about getting rid of AMT?
That had been the case because AMT was not indexed for inflation, but that was fixed in the tax code fixed the last year before last with the Obama administration. They made it a permanent fix. It was one of those things that at the end of every year, Congress would say, oops, yep, increase it, oops, yep, increase it, but they now made that a permanent fix. And recall, AMT was put in place not for revenue-raising reasons. AMT was put in place for policy reasons, to make sure everyone paid some sort of tax into the system.
So for the people that had the tax loopholes, and I thought one of the things as we were looking at the tax simplification, I thought that they were looking at increasing the standard deduction and then doing away with some of the itemized deductions. They're looking at keeping your mortgage, your mortgage interest deduction, but won't making the standard deduction a little bit higher, won't that be better for single parents?
Actually, when you do the calculation, it's not. Increasing the standard deduction as well as the exemption, adding them together, when you do the actual calculations, they lose, I think it was $800 or $900 when you do the actual calculation.
Okay.
Because they're not itemizing anyway. And we're still talking about people who are at the lowest tax brackets anyway. They're not paying as much in taxes as we think.
Okay.
Addressing the underlying issues of someone in the middle class who is paying more in child care than they're paying in rent. That's where we have the problem.
So that's not going to be fixed with this?
That's not going to be fixed at all. Trying to increase credits or something like that for things like child care, these people are already below the threshold. They're not paying taxes as it is, not income taxes. So they're paying payroll taxes.
So then what about, one of these, another change, the 5th change has to do with turning the IRS into a service-first government entity, right? So to me, I think that that's a great idea.
I love that idea.
Okay, we agree on something.
We absolutely agree. I do not agree that this proposal is going to do anything about it. There's nothing in the proposal that addresses how they're going to do it. Frankly, the reason the IRS is in the state that it's in is because Congress has been the catalyst in IRS performing as poor as it has been. Congress has cut the IRS's budget every year. As a matter of fact, the Taxpayer Advocate's Office has written to Congress and the President in every single report for the last 6 years. It's been the #1 item that says you are not funding the IRS well enough for them to do their job.
So we have to fund the IRS take money from us?
There's nothing in here that says they're not taking money, they're doing their job. There's nothing in here that says are they going to fund the IRS? That's
Okay.
where the issue is.
So
Are they
we'll
going
get
to
better
fund them?
service if the IRS gets funded, is what you're saying.
Yes, perfect example. They just the IRS is now mandated to use private collection people.
Right.
Now, mind you, if you just gave the IRS the money, they could do the collections, but they cannot. I view it as, and I hate taxes. Everyone does. I hate writing a check, but I kind of like having safe water.
Right.
And there are things that it costs money to do.
Right.
And I view it very simply as running a household. Let's say it takes 10 grand a month to run my household. That's how much it takes. I get a pay cut at work. Okay, now I'm only bringing home 8. I can sort of make it work. I can figure it out. But the next year I get cut to 6. The next year I get cut to 5. My household is not going to run properly. It is not possible. So to constantly blame me for, well, you're not running your house. Well, I only have, well, you can, it's not that I can do better with 5 grand.
But what if we just figure out how to just downsize? Because isn't that part of the problem is, things have just gotten so big and out of
That
control.
might have been the
that
case
maybe
10
we
years
need to
ago.
just
But if
downsize.
it costs, like I said, if it costs 10 grand a run and you cut me to 8, okay. But you cut me to 6 and 5? No.
Not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen. There is no substitute for people and training and technology.